Show. Always Irish Show. Always Irish Show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison! I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship! That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing! Doing a damn thing! The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Dude, what is going on this morning? What is going on this morning? It's a lazy, sleepy, rainy where I'm at, early Monday morning. I'm figuring, silly me, shows you the handle I have on my group. I'm figuring everybody's going to be in a good mood. Notre Dame got some extremely awesome recruiting news yesterday. Everybody, the golden theme, everybody should be happy, in a good mood here. And then I log in and my most regulars are going at it at Monday at 8 a.m. on a Monday. What's going on? Unbelievable. And it all started because we're arguing about Sam Hartman. That's the funniest part by far, is that it looks like, from what I can see, talking about Sam Hartman is what started the raging debate this morning. It's like, oh, should he be drafted or not? Yeah, he's going to be the number one draft for the next Bachelor on ABC. That's where he's going to be drafted, number one, baby. I'm telling you, if this backup thing or whatever doesn't work, whatever he's trying to do in the league, try out for the Bachelor, drafted number one, baby. Oh, you keep that 80s era Michael McDonald look. Ooh, number one draft on the board. Number one draft on the board. Okay. So anyways, I don't want to see, especially my regular people here. We got Andrew and Pat going at each other. We're supposed to all be in a good mood. I got good stuff to go over today. We should all be happy. We should all be happy. Angela, I'd watch that Bachelor. I'm sure a lot of people would. He's a good-looking man. He's a good-looking man. Oh, look at this. Jerry Reinsdorf's burner. John, I'm not sure I'm going to watch the whole show today. I'm going to be busy basking in the glory of a 3-game win streak. Yeah, you know what it did? It made me more mad. I would be less mad if you just kept losing so you could have the worst record of all time of any baseball team. It does me no good at all for you to win a few of these games or a series. It doesn't matter. So I would almost it be as bad as it could possibly be than you acting like you're a real team for a weekend. And then I'm supposed to say those other 24 losses or 22 losses are okay. No. Caleb to the Bears should be interesting. Yeah, it should be very interesting. I have no idea how it's going to go. It's not even hope, Carberry. It's not even false hope. We're beyond hope. There is no hope. It was a minor distraction from your day-to-day misery. That's all it was. There's no hope. It's not hope. This is just my prevailing thought, and it has been the whole time you knew the Bears were going to take Caleb number one. If it clicks and it starts decent early, he's going to own the city, and everybody's going to prematurely crown him. He's going to own the city if it goes well early. If it doesn't, everybody's going to turn on him, and it's going to get really ugly. I don't see any in between. Like in the Chicago market with the media and the fans, the way it is, the Chicago radio market, I know how this works. If it starts out halfway decent, everybody's going to buy in and it'll be awesome. Momentum will build, whatever. Man, you throw a couple picks, your first game or something, and you're on there wearing a dress and your nails, and people are going to hammer that. I'm not saying it's right. Everybody should be able to be the individual they want, whatever, Holly weird, whatever you want to do. I'm not telling you that's right. I'm just telling you how it's going to go. Those are two different things. So if it goes good, he's going to be the king of the city. And if it doesn't, it's going to get ugly. Okay, couple things today. We'll get into the introduction. We'll get this thing going. Call-in lines, 312-900-8815. I want to know what you make of Dallas Golden commits to Notre Dame. We're going to cover that first. It's a big deal on multiple fronts, and there's a little nuance to it. Some people are going to agree with, some people aren't. I have a little monologue on that. We got to cover it. So give me a call if you want to react to that. Nice little surprise Sunday action. It was a beautiful thing to see. Put me in a good mood all day yesterday. I also want to know your ongoing reactions to the draft. Notre Dame's draft specifically. Here's the other thing I'm thinking about now is what can you take out of the draft overall and apply, zoom in or zoom out and look at where it informs you of where Notre Dame's at with their draft guys and the roster. And I've been thinking of that kind of where Notre Dame fits into that whole ecosystem with the draft and whatever. Really interesting. Michigan with 13 guys, what you could take from that if you're Notre Dame. So that's interesting if you want to talk about that. And then also, I'm not forgetting about bigger picture Notre Dame. If anybody wants to call in and read off a checklist of summer priorities for Notre Dame or the things you're still worried about leading into the season, we could certainly do all of that as well. Jerry Reinsdorf says, I think we have some freshly minted Chargers Harbaugh fans after the draft. Yeah. Again, when I'm talking about this nuance with the draft, here's something that I want you to notice. 618, you'll be the first one up. Stick with me here. Here's something interesting. It seems like both Harbaugh brothers are big fans of drafted Notre Dame guys because the Ravens have done that before as well. And so John Harbaugh kind of maybe has an affinity that way. And it's obvious that Jim does. Listen, the guy's an alien. How do you not smile when they ask Jim Harbaugh, Jay Carr, how are you not going to smile when they ask Jim Harbaugh, why didn't you draft a skill guy with your first pick in the draft? And his response is, we look at O-linemen as skill guys. That is a skill guy to me. As weird as he is, and as much as I disapprove of everything that happened in Michigan, that's funny. Like, I'm serious. That's funny. And I think he means it. That's the other thing. It wouldn't be funny if he didn't mean it, but he meant it, and that's a riot. Also, we're all friends here. We've been together a long time. Most of us here, we've been together a long time, multiple years. I mean, we add new people all the time, but a bunch of you have been here a long time. That means you probably understand how petty I am with certain things. Okay. And I admit it. I'm really petty with a lot of football things that like just stick in my craw, if you will, that I can't get over, won't let go, always go back to. You know what my thing is now? I think I decided my favorite part of the entire NFL draft is being snubbed by his own guys in the little draft green room. It's petty. It's petty as can be. That's immature. It could have been a simple case of the guy got excited and just heard his name and ran up there and bypassed Kelly. Seeing that happen on camera and Kelly's all like ready to sell it and the guy goes right by him. Favorite part of the draft. Like I that is sick. That is sick. And I need to grow up. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. It was my favorite part of the draft. I absolutely love seeing Brian Kelly want to get the credit for being the guy and the final draft moment and him not getting it. I love it. I just love it. Oh my God, another Kelly take. John, get over it. I will not. I just admitted to you that I was petty. It's not like I came on here and acted like I'm on the straight and narrow. Was Freeman there? Freeman was not there. He was at Joe Alt's house because Joe Alt is an offensive lineman who didn't feel the need to make the draft a big scene all about him and go there. So he had people over to his house. So Marcus Freeman went to the home of the number one draft pick, or our number one draft pick, I should say, off the board. I'm a fan, John, but Brian Kelly lives way too much in your head, rent-free. Oh, no. Oh, no. God, I don't want to do this on a Monday. Son of a gun! I don't want to do this on a Monday, but here we are. It's 9/11 on a Monday, and here I am. You're going to get it started. I'm a fan, John, but BK lives way too much in your head, rent-free. It is not rent-free. The emotional and hair rent that I have paid is not rent-free. I paid a lot. I bet you my lifespan is minus 6 or 8 years because of Brian Kelly. I paid a heavy toll. There ain't no rent-free. Rent-free. I've paid the most expensive rent of all time. Years off your existence on this planet. Rent-free. I paid the most expensive rent there is. Brian Kelly took years off my life and my hairline. It ain't rent-free. It cost me a lot. It cost me a lot. And when I die young, and in the obituary, it says, if you're frustrated that the show ended because John stroked out, blame Brian Kelly. Because he took years off my life. Oh my God. I mean, I'm kind of having fun with that, but not really. It was my favorite part of the draft, seeing him get snubbed. I don't care if it was an accident or not. It was good enough for me to enjoy it. I don't like the guy. And you know what else? He doesn't like me. So we're on the same page. And I respect that. I respect that. V1 Rotate with the $10 holla. Sits at the bowl game to get undrafted. He never should have come to ND to play. This is a failure of the offense and with horrible wide receivers that wouldn't start at the FCS level. ND ruined any draft stock he had. Here's the deal. Callers, we got a couple of you. I'll go to you guys. Save my Dallas Golden little monologue here. Listen, what do you learn from the Sam Hartman experience? I wanted it to go better. I had hopes that it could go better, but there were a lot of problems, not only with Sam and his personal limitations. The offensive coordinator had his limitations. The wide receiver group was limited all year. There were a lot of things that all added up to not make last year what we wanted it to be. Okay. And it's not all Sam Hartman's fault, but a part of it is, but it's not all. Let's be fair about that. The reality is, to me, I learned Notre Dame needs better quarterbacks from now on, man. You want to have one of those top quarterbacks going when they have the top 6, the 14 in a row offensive players to start off the draft. 14 in a row, all offense before we get a defensive guy. 6 of those are quarterbacks. You need Notre Dame's guy to be in that mix. Not the undrafted. I know you're going to bring up an undrafted guy that ended up being great or whatever, but you know that's not what the odds are. How much of it was a bad OC? I don't know. Mark, I don't know how to give you a percentage. I just know to say it was a problem, right? Like when you asked that, how much of it was the OC? You could see Parker struggling to process the game and everything, and you could see him struggling in those moments. I can't give you a percentage, but I know it's a part of the problem. And the wide receivers were too. Their ineffectiveness, inability to stay healthy, low numbers. The guys that were there were either young or not, whatever. It was, Jason, you're right. It was a combination of a bunch of dysfunctional pieces, and it was unfortunate. But what I learned from that is Notre Dame needs to put quarterbacks in the league. Like, isn't that ultimately what this comes down to? Hang in there, callers. I'm going to both of you. I got two of you on the line now. I'll come to you. And I know I'm bad with that, but I really do mean it. Isn't that what you realized through this? Did no one else ask themselves, when you see Hartman go undrafted, did nobody sit there on their couch and go, with Notre Dame's defenses being as good as they've been over the last handful of years, what could this look like if we had a draft quarterback that people thought was good? Like, that's my big picture takeaway. There's no reason Notre Dame's in a draft and you don't have a quarterback that should be drafted. Like, we need to be done with that. We need to be done with that. If you want Notre Dame to make real noise in this new playoff where they're going to have to win a month's worth of games against top 12 teams, I got news for you, Golden Domers, Golden Domer homers. That ain't you're not gonna run out that string of games with good defense and a blocked punt, and then you're gonna win 4 games doing that. No, you're gonna need a quarterback to lead the way at some point. You're gonna need a Notre Dame quarterback to lead the team at some point and be the reason you're winning these big games. Big game moments, that's the guy that makes the plays. You need to be starting at a higher level than that. That's what I think you need to do. So I don't know. But it is frustrating. Thanks for the donation, Rotate. What I'm learning is when it comes to QBs in the portal, you want to leave before your junior season. If you wait till your senior year, Kiss getting drafted, goodbye. I understand that. Maybe getting in somewhere and getting situated and then having that other year, I guess that makes sense. I think Hartman failed ND. He didn't show up against Louisville and Clemson, but ND also failed him, not bringing in a real transfer wide receiver, and Parker had no. But yeah, it was a combination of problems. I'm there with you. I just think we need to be over that. It's very frustrating. There's no real reason Notre Dame shouldn't have draftable quarterbacks. I'm not saying that Notre Dame needs to have Caleb Williams, the number 1 guy off the board or whatever. Can we all agree that, like, Notre Dame, you should have quarterbacks that are drafted? And I look at the defensive side of the ball, and I look at how good and competitive and high level that defense plays. If you had an offense that could just even get near that kind of production, but on the other side of the ball, then you're cooking. It's frustrating, man. It's really frustrating. Oh man, the BK thing. And you know what else I got to admit about the BK thing? If the LSU media and fans would just shut up for 2 minutes and leave me alone, it would maybe go away a little bit. But I can't let their comments on YouTube channels and to me on Twitter stand. That's the other thing, you guys, especially in the summer when there ain't much going on. If those people just acted normal, I wouldn't have much to go at. But every day I got an LSU person commenting to me something, or they're doing a YouTube video running their mouth about Notre Dame and Denbrock or whatever and all this. If they're going to keep throwing tinder on the fire, I'm going to watch the logs burn. That's what I'm here for. Happy to do it. Think I care? Boy. As always, thanks for being here. How about that transition? Brett Aloha from Hawaii. Oh, that's beautiful. I like having, man, I feel like I'm on vacation just hearing the name Hawaii. Thank you for joining us. Happy to be here. Um, as always, thanks for being here. Look at this, 20 minutes in. We're off the rails on a Monday. After the introductions, I'm going to the calls. Thanks for being here. As obviously, you can find the program on YouTube. Do hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps John as well. Notifications on, you know why. That way you alerted every time a new episode drops. I know you don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it if you don't want to see my face. I certainly, I can't blame you for that. If you don't want to see my face, call-in lines, you already know them. 312-900-8815. Dialed up. Let me know all you're insane. Instagram, Facebook, Always Irish Inc. Irish Wire, read all about it. Got a couple articles I wrote yesterday. Should be dropping either today or tomorrow. Stay tuned. Stay tuned on that. What? Come back to that chat in a minute. I disagree. Patreon.com/alwaysirish. Mike Goolsby and I fired it up yesterday, and he went through and broke down Dallas Golden's film. And we had an interesting discussion about his versatility and on both sides of the ball, what he could provide for Notre Dame. It's a big time win on the recruiting trail for sure. Also, as you can see at ndsubwayalumni.com, if you were at the Blue and Gold tailgate, or even if you were not at the Blue and Gold tailgate, but you saw my highlight videos afterwards, you saw the Lewski live in action, baby. The 4-shot glass Lewski, we had that baby cranked up. I think we had Goolsby, we had Tony, we had me, we had Pat. We had a good time there. And so make sure you go support those guys. Goolsby eats protein powder straight out of the can. I think that's what I need to do, man. That's what I need to do. I need to beef up. I just never eat enough calories, man. I never eat enough calories. You will not believe this, but I literally, in college, there was a couple semesters where I got serious about beefing up. And I was eating my protein shakes like nonstop. I had the pre-workout stuff that makes you feel all tingly to get your blood going or whatever. I'd be in that gym at 6:30 in the morning working out, whatever. Bro, I don't eat enough calories to ever maintain muscle weight. That's it. I just don't. I tried it. I gained some literal muscle and had some definition, and I lost it because I don't eat enough calories. I just don't. So whatever. Oh, man. Look at this. Look at this. I disagree. Then I'm going to the calls. Also, make sure you go to the College Huddle to Eric here, our Ohio podcast guy. Man, what a fun group. Go over there. Give some of those podcasts a shot. You got a lot of younger guys building their YouTube channels up, covering these different conferences. And it's a really awesome group. I've gotten to meet a lot of them, helping a couple people get started with their channels, giving them some growth advice. Really, really good group. So make sure you go over there. Support Eric, longtime guy here. Good dude. Want to support everything he's doing. Look at this. Look at this. No, we will never leave you alone. You started this, John. I 100% disagree. 100%. Follow me here. Here's how this started that got me mad to where now I have an axe to grind with the LSU media and it's not going to go away ever and the fans. Here's what it was. When Kelly left in the middle of the night for LSU, I came on these airwaves and said, this is awesome. This was stale. We were doing the same thing every year, expecting a different result. Kelly seems checked out. The fans seem checked out. There's no vibes. There's no energy. Everything felt stale. Kelly did really, really good, but not good enough to make anybody happy. Like he wasn't happy. It was like a stale relationship where you're going through the motions, but there's no like fire there. That's what this felt like. He leaves. And I was on record before he left saying hire Freeman whenever Kelly leaves. Hire Freeman. At least he's going to try to recruit, which is kind of a big deal. At least he's going to try. So I was already saying whenever Kelly leaves, if it's a year, 2 year, whatever, make Freeman that guy after that. I was already on record with that. So he leaves in the middle of the night. I'm in a great mood. There was not 1 percentage point of me that said, oh no, this is a problem. Brian Kelly's leaving. How will we ever survive? Like, the program's going downhill now that we lost this guy that's never won a major bowl game in a dozen years. No, said no. Okay. So my whole thing was, this is awesome. Everybody wins. Brian Kelly wins. He gets to go somewhere where it's a storied program with a lot of resources and it's easier to recruit. That's not an insult. It's a fact. It's easier to recruit at LSU. You have a lot more local talent that all want to go to LSU right away in a talent-rich part of the country. Yeah, I don't think reading's a big priority. That helps too with your recruiting, whatever. Your path to recruit at LSU. What got me mad at all the LSU people is they refused to accept the idea that I was happy to see Kelly go and not jealous and upset. That's it. That is the crux of my entire beef with the LSU people, is they absolutely 100% refused to accept and understand how a Notre Dame fan could have been relieved to see Kelly leave and not devastated. That's 100% the crux of my beef with them, is they will not accept when I tell them I was not upset to see him go at all. It was past time, and this needed to happen for everybody, for Brian Kelly, for the Notre Dame fans. Like, we all needed something fresh. They refused to accept it. I'm still jealous they stole my man, and that's just not accurate. And what makes me the most mad about it is what makes it really upsetting to me is these people comment to me despite the evidence. That's the big thing. My argument is I was ready for Kelly to go and was calling for it for years, and I'm ready for this. The LSU people ignored all of that evidence. I have YouTube videos while Kelly was the head coach, Freeman's the DC, of me saying, let Freeman be the head coach. I'm done with this. Kelly's not even recruiting. Freeman's doing all the recruiting anyways. Let him be the head guy. You may as well. I was on the books with that. And they're all ignoring it. And they're acting like, no, you just turned on him once he came to LSU. They totally ignore the fact pattern, did none of the research into my videos, all of that. So I'm mad that they won't even accept the idea that we were fine to see him go. So whatever, man. Patrick met John at the spring game and mentioned I've been subscribed since 2017. And he went immediately on about he was the voice against the tomfoolery of BK for years. Well, 2016 was an absolute disaster. Yeah, and then 17, was it 17, the Miami disaster? There's blemishes here I can't get over. It. Oh, boy. 720-618 are going to be the first two up. 720, what's going on?
Hey, John. Randy City here. How are you?
I'm doing very well, my friend. Thanks for giving me a call on a Monday. What's on your mind? You want to talk about Dallas Golden or the blue and gold game or the draft? We could go wherever you want to go, buddy.
Well, all of the above, but I won't take all of your time. Good to be on Always Irish Radio. One thing, Sam Hartman, if he was good enough, he would have got drafted. He had 4 years of tape at Wake Forest, and all things considered, and I'm not putting this on Sam. I think he's probably a really great kid. A lot of that was Al Golden, or not Golden, but the guy that's gone,
Parker,
the offensive coordinator, Parker. Yeah, and so you can't really. If Hartman was a guy, trust me, the NFL, they didn't just look at the last year of his college career. What was the knock on him coming out of Wake Forest? He's a system quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Well, he kind of showed that here at Notre Dame. And I'm not saying that's all him. A lot of that's Parker. I mean, the fact that we had 2 tackles drafted very early, he didn't know how to play to his team's strength. Golden State and Mitch Evans should have been on the field every play together because we had a weak wide receiver room. Why not play? I hate saying this, but take a page out of Michigan's playbook and run this damn ball. Like, God, like it gets Clemson in that third quarter. How many passes did they call in a row?
Yeah.
And it was like,
oh, it was just a mess. It was all a mess.
Yeah.
And listen, I don't know how to percent the blame out. I just know it was a little bit of everything. Some of it's on Sam Hartman, but the offense was not set up for success in those big moments due to Parker, due to the wide receivers. There were a lot of issues. My overall point, though, is we got to do a lot better with these quarterbacks, man. We have a great defense going. If you could just pair up an offense that could get near that kind of production on the other side, now you're cooking. We need better play on that side of the ball, man. We just do.
You know, I think, and I hope there's some Michigan fans on this. J.J. McCarthy, I think, is going to be the biggest bust out of all those quarterbacks.
Interesting.
He never, and Michigan, they did it right. Harbaugh just ran the ball, played to the defense, and sprinkled in some. You know, when they needed it, he did come through, but they never really needed it. You know, how many times did what Michigan run against Penn State like 50 times in a row?
I think it was like literally 20. It was literally like 28 plays in a row they ran it. And you know what? It worked. That's the other thing. They were able to do it and like it just humiliate them. Like, we know we're going to run it. You know we're going to run it and you're not going to stop it. And that's how it went down. Wow.
Yeah. It's so, and I agree. We need better quarterback play. Here's my concern. And then I want to get your thoughts. And I know people are going to disagree, but I think we cost ourselves a national championship last year and maybe even this year by not getting that Utah coordinator. I'm not sold on Denbrock. Now, I know what he did at LSU.
Ooh, now this is a contrarian take. I have not heard this one. Walk this one out for me. Now you got my interest. Walk this one out for me. Explain your thought process here. I love that.
Okay, and so, you know, and just so a little credibility, I do coach high school football. I played at a smaller level, but we won. But here's the thing. LSU has that speed. They have guys 4 or 5 wide receiver deep, right? Notre Dame's strength is the O-line, tight ends, and running backs. So if Denbrock comes in, and I'm excited for Riley, and I'm not saying he's not the guy, but I'm worried about it because we don't have the wide receiver room for that kind of offense. We're built more like a Michigan or a Utah, right? Where we got to run the ball. I'd like to keep 3 tight ends on the field, bring another line and just keep teams off balance. Maybe not in that sense of like, oh, we have to have all these receivers out there. But if our O-line is as talented as all the experts say and our wide receivers, we should be able to run the ball with these running backs. Denbrock's first time at Notre Dame, we were okay. You know, we didn't light the world on fire, and now he's coming back. And I hope, you know, it's going to be different with like Carr, Deuce Knight, and Riley Leonard. But I would much rather see us take that Utah style of offense or Michigan style than what LSU did last year. I'm legitimately worried about that for 2 reasons. One, don't know if Riley Leonard can do it, and even if he can, is he going to be healthy enough? And then what other quarterback can run that's behind him? So those are my concerns.
You don't think that here's where my mind goes is that's been one of the big talk okay, Mike Denbrock could go back to Notre Dame, but he's not bringing LSU's talent with them. And there's no denying LSU's talent. They just got well represented in the early rounds of the draft. All those skill guys they had with quarterbacks and multiple receivers going. My thought is more just about the well-rounded experience Denbrock has. With 30 years or whatever of doing this, it doesn't have to look like LSU's. The point is, I find value in his experience to know how to get the most out of what our guys could do. I don't want him to try and make it what LSU did because we don't have the same setup and the same kind of guys. But I am confident he'll be able to squeeze more juice out of what we do have. That's what I think he's going to be good at, not trying to make us LSU, but I think his experience will allow him to take what our guys can do and then make it happen on the field. That's where my mind's at. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, and I'm not disagreeing. I'm playing a little devil's advocate, right? I'm not totally disagreeing with you, John. I just look. He's been in, how many national championships has he won as a coordinator or been part of? That's my concern.
Yeah, but okay, but then all right, but you're playing devil's advocate. Let me play the advocate to that devil.
Okay.
Expand this out. Who is that OC then? Like, if that's the level that of like you had to win a title with this and having the like, I don't know who are we gonna get then? Like that, like, like there's not a lot of options that fit that bill of like you have had to ride this all the way to a title and then also want to be at Notre Dame and all that. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's really hard for me to say who else would you have wanted? Like, Parker wasn't working out. Don't you agree it's an upgrade for Parker? Tell me you agree with that.
Oh my God. Like some of the stuff he did, I was just like, what? I mean, this guy wouldn't make it in.
I was like, what? Yeah, you said what? And then Troy said, we want you to be our main guy. like, thank you. I really appreciate that. And then what about Cincinnati? Maybe that's a better connective tissue than LSU because of the talent and the way LSU's been. Riding Cincinnati then and going to the playoffs, maybe that's a better connective tissue with that talent. What do you make about that?
No, that's a great point. I'm not against Denbrock, just so you know. I'm concerned. Is that fair to say? Like, I'm just concerned.
Yeah, it's just it's a take I've not heard a lot of with all the Notre Dame concerns. I have Denbrock on the helping me feel less concerned, not more ledger. That's why I find this so interesting.
So here's what, and I know this is gonna like people are gonna be like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I would look for a coordinator, probably in the NFL, associated with certain teams, like maybe like a run first team, the Lions, or like the Lions, the 49ers, or maybe even I would look down at maybe that D1 AA. Some of those programs have some great coaches. I know, like, there's a recruiting aspect to everything, so I get it. I'm hopeful, but I'm concerned. And the last point I'll make is I think Jagasaw needs to move into guard. He's a great run blocker. His pedigree,
But what do you do at tackle? Goolsby says that all the time, and multiple Notre Dame reporter beat guys that look at these bodies have said they think he's a guard ultimately in the league, and that would be the more comfortable spot. The issue is, what do you do then? Because you have both tackle spots open. So what do you do there?
Yeah, that's the question, right?
Bro, I'm getting nervous, man. Dude, I'm telling you, I'm getting nervous about that O-line situation, man. I'm just a little bit with what you have week one. Like, they're going to have some athletes flying off the edge. I need those guys to be good enough, and I got some anxiety.
Well, and hopefully week one, I mean, I think the best case scenario week one is it's a slugfest, very defensive heavy. Because I don't know what Elko is going to bring to A&M right away. Usually with the new coaches, the offense week or two to rev up, historically. But his defense will be ready. So hopefully it's a slugfest and we can come out of there with like 17-3, 24-17 win, something like that. But the best way you can help a young offensive line is just keep running the ball. So I don't know. I was hoping that the one that incoming freshman, hopefully pray that he's the next Joe Wall, I guess.
Yeah.
But and they're gonna have to run the ball a lot early on until some of those guys figure it out. But I also think, all things considered, Notre Dame's D-line looks really good right now.
Don't they?
Really.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you knew what you were going to have, and you knew what you were going to have, like, with Riley Mills and Howard Cross and all that. But, like, Anye and some of these guys, like, there's more there than people thought. Like, there's more there than people thought coming out of spring, as far as confidence. You could hold the edge, get after guys on the edge. There's more confidence there than I was expecting. Hopefully it holds true.
I'll say this. The fact that
Oben looks good too. Oben looked better than I thought he would this spring too. So looks like a good situation.
Well, and the fact that we know how Riley Mills and Howard Cross are, right? Like, there's no denying that. But they didn't steal the spring game. Only did. It's like, and Jay, I think teams are in trouble. Like, I think we get past Texas A&M, we are in a really good spot to make a really good strong run.
It's man,
and I mean,
dude, there's no way for me to, I'm the emotional guy and everything's a big deal to me. John overreacts to everything. That's kind of my shtick. Everybody knows that. At the same time, man, it's hard for me to find a way to not come back to the realization that A&M is just a huge moment. It's the next huge moment in a line of big Notre Dame moments. And like, no matter what I do, I have trouble making it not a big deal. I just think it's a huge opportunity. And there's a lot of momentum hanging on the result of that game that's going to trickle into the whole year, good or bad. I just feel like all the Notre Dame momentum is going to be hanging on an arrow there of that result. Don't you agree? It's just time to win one of these, man.
I agree. And realistically, looking at it, I think we caught, I mean, this is going to sound maybe like I'm scared, but I'm not. We caught A&M at the perfect time. Like, they're building their culture. Elko's got, he's got an up-road battle, just like University of Colorado. I mean, teams like that are built without real culture on NIL deal, because that's what Jimbo was doing the last couple of years.
Yeah.
He didn't give a crap.
Yep, that's obvious.
And so you have to rebuild an entire culture there. So it's like Notre Dame and Freeman. I love Marcus. Like, I'm rooting for him, but it's like, this is it, man. You got a team. You need to keep the foot up, keep the foot on the throat, keep them down. You have to beat them. Like, if you don't beat them now, you're not going to beat them in 2 or 3 years. Not with the budget they have, not with that coach, and not with the money that they have to, so you got to do it now. The time's now.
Yep.
And, there's some questions on the O-line, but I think looking at that defensive lineup, man, we are loaded to make a run, and defenses do win championships.
Man,
we'll score.
I'm with you. I'm with you on the A&M thing, by the way. I'm totally with you on the A&M thing. We all respect Mike Elko. Like, I respect the man a lot as a coach and a person. If there's ever a good time to face a Mike Elko team, it's year 1, game 1. That's going to be the most vulnerable a Mike Elko program is ever going to be to mistakes, or just because how good he is with getting his guys ready. Like, that's the time. And then, oh, by the way, nobody should forget the year after that, we open up with A&M, but it's at our place. So they're going to have to go on the road, but it isn't going to be year 1 totally rebuilding everything either. So this is going to be an interesting 2-year dynamic for sure. Very interesting.
Well, and he scares me. Look what he did with Duke. He had us. He had us on the ropes, and until Leonard got hurt, he had Florida State on the ropes. Much less talented. I mean, what did Duke even? Any kids? But like that guy, man. So yeah, no, you're. I think we're on the same page on that, and this is going to be an interesting game. There's a lot of coaches that have coached together on both sides of this. So we'll see how it goes. But
yeah, it's a big moment. It's a huge moment, man. You gotta have it for so many different reasons. It's a big moment.
Yeah. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time, and I hope everyone has a great day. And hopefully, I get to call you back soon. All right, John. I love your show.
Hey, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. Have a good week out there in Colorado. Okay, take care, my friend. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
I'm telling you. Listen, 618, you're coming up. Of all the Notre Dame stuff that rattles into John's head and all the whatever, and you know me, I'm worried about everything. And this and that. Mike Denbrock is on the side of the ledger that makes me feel better about the worry, not worse. Pat, what did you miss? The last caller's worried about Mike Denbrock. So I think I kind of understand if you were like, the Utah guy Ludwig is maybe like more of a run focused type mentality that kind of lines up more with where Notre Dame's been or something like that. Like I understand that, but I don't, this Denbrock thing, I love, you guys. Notre Dame guy, loves Notre Dame, wants to be around Notre Dame, wants to support Marcus, knows what he's looking for, knows what he's looking at, seen it all. It just makes me feel good. It just makes me feel good. I think I could trust the guy to be able to look at where Notre Dame's offense is at and figure out ways to make it better. I just think that. Hey, 46 minutes in and no Steve Angeli talk. Say it ain't so. Did he transfer? Is he in the portal or what? Like, I don't have a reason to bring up Steve Angeli. No offense to him. I just don't have a reason. The forward pass is too difficult of an offense. Roger Dodger around Notre Dame. Buddy, you ain't far off. You ain't far off, Dodger. Tweeting this from your surfboard in LA or whatever. I'm telling you, you ain't wrong. Sometimes completing a pass seems really hard for us. Unbelievable. No, listen. Denbrock's going to know how to get the most out of Notre Dame's offense. And if we can't do exactly what he wants to do, he's going to be able to pivot to something else that we can execute to help us move the ball and win. It isn't just going to be forcing a circle into a square and trying to make it work or whatever. Of all the worries I have about this program and where it's going to be and where it's been at and why it's been there and where we need to go and everything, Mike Denbrock ain't on the list. He's on the plus side of the ledger, man. He's on the plus side of the ledger. You know what? Let me give it to you this way. Let me give it to you like this. I felt last year Parker was like experiencing everything in real time. That doesn't work as an OC. To be living every play snap to snap in real time, that's not how you exist as an OC. You need to be thinking 2, 3, 4 plays down the road. You need to be thinking, if this, then that, and if that, then I'm doing this. You need to be thinking, what can I do early in the game to set this defense up so I could circle back to this same setup and run something different later? That was the issue that I saw. Parker was living and dying, trying to keep his head above the waterline, play to play. And it was like pulling teeth to get things done. Denbrock doesn't have that issue. Denbrock knows right away where we need to be, why we're not there, what the defense is doing, and what beats it. Like, He's able to play that deeper game of chess. Oh, boy. John, will you have Samuel Hartman as a co-host on Always Irish? I would love to. I would love to. It'd be good for the numbers. Again, there's some really, really good answers, really obvious answers to this. 618, I'm not sure what happened there. Is the phone line being goofy again, 618, hanging up? What's the deal? Here's the reason this is different. Totally logical. Why do you shit on Parker for first-year experience but give Freeman so much grace for being a first-time coach? Really, really simple answer to that is you can't afford to sign on more people that are learning on the fly. It's the most logical answer I have. If you committed that you're going to do it with your head coach, you can't take on any more of that learning on the fly uncertainty. Because that's already a big enough risk as it is. You can't take on more water. That was my problem with it to begin with. If you were going to go down this road with the young, inexperienced coach, the only way to make that work is to buoy him with experience on both sides of the ball. But when Freeman's learning on the fly and he's a defensive guy, and then the OC's low on experience and trying to keep his head above water, that's where you get into trouble. And that's where we got into trouble. So that's the difference. You can only sign on for so much of that learning on the fly risk. And to me, you applied all of that grace to the head guy, which is why you needed that proven experience. And you didn't have it. So whatever. But that's why I don't look at him the same. It's too much risk exposure to have two of those guys in those important positions learning on the fly. Yeah, I know. 39 points a game, number 9 scoring offense overall. Yeah, I know it was awesome. Where were all those points in the games we lost? Coincidentally, the only games against real defenses. I'm sorry. Call me a hater. Tell me a negative Nancy. I'm quite unimpressed with the 8,000 points we scored against Central Michigan and Pitt and, whatever, and Navy. I need you to score more points offensively against real teams. Real teams. You scored 24 points against Ohio State. Oh, 24. I don't know, man. What was the fun? No, 24 combined in 2 years. 24 in one game isn't enough to beat a good team. I'm talking about 2 years combined. 24 points. Not the real world. You ain't serious about football. 24 points in 2. It ain't even enough to win one big game. That's the total of 2 years combined. Anyways, happy Monday. How about that Dallas Golden? I love it. 618. You're going to make it great. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, what's up, John, man? Yeah, I like the Dallas Golden pickup, man. I mean, I don't know if, I wonder, did he talk to Keon Keeley about, like, what made him, decide at the time, and chose Notre Dame, and do we feel like he messed up by going to Bama? Because, man, I got a feeling about Keeley, man. He should have, I feel like he should have went to Notre Dame, man, and been his own man. But, Nick Saban and the big SEC powers, man. But, yeah, I like this pickup. I mean, I was watching highlights of him yesterday on offense. Man, that kid can play wherever he want to play.
Yeah, they got options there, man. He's good both ways, and he moves different. Like, this is what people mean when you say Notre Dame's starting to change the roster. This is exactly an example of what I mean.
And I seen Thurman, like Justin Thurman, when he was at Dismiss, he a good kid, but I just think, man, if they want to say, hey, look, Golden, do you want to play running back? I think he'd be the best running back in this class that we got.
Man, and the other thing is these Florida dudes are built different, man. Anytime the Florida football thing, high school, it's just different. I love pulling a Florida guy out of there and the versatility. And then you can play him where you need to play him. You could let him touch the ball on special teams. He's just a great. Notre Dame needs more guys like him. It's a big win for Notre Dame. Great get. Made my Sunday, tell you that.
Now the next pickups we got to pick up that 26 quarterback. I like Brady Hart. I was watching film on Brady Hart. I was like, man, this kid is nice, man. And to get him and Boggs, if we can get him and Boggs together as a package deal, even though Boggs he'll be a junior, that'll be a great pickup. That'll be like a tag team pickup.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. Am I crazy for feeling like I'm seeing this roster change in front of my eyes? I feel like month by month we come on here and I talk about the roster shifting and changing, longer, more athletic, faster overall, whatever. This is another example of that. So this is all a part of the change to me that needed to happen. And you're getting a little different kind of kid and a different kind of attitude, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm here for it too, John. I mean, I got to make at least one game this year. Hopefully the game that you're going to be at, man.
Tell you what, we're going to have a good time early in the year. The weather will be warm. It won't be all cold yet. It should be fun, man. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
And I think, man, I think it's a lot going on with Notre Dame, man. We're going to mess around. And
there is a lot going on.
Man.
Let me ask you something, piggybacking off the first caller. Where's your mind at on Denbrock? Do you have any hesitations at all, or do you feel like it's all a plus with him and he's going to be able to navigate Notre Dame to a more productive offense? I'm putting him in the plus category, man. I just trust the experience, and I think he's going to figure out how to get the ball to our playmakers, and we'll have a better offense. That's what I believe. What do you think?
He already came in and showed that. And I've been saying since last year, and you know this, John, that Jeremiah Love is our most explosive guy on offense.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He come in, he's going to put him in the slot. He's going to use him all over. He's going to be like our Reggie Bush. And we might even put him in a position where he might even be in the next year might be in the Heisman conversation.
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know. I mean, I would love to see it.
You got to get the ball in our most explosive playmakers' hands, man. No matter what you got to do to get it to them, you got to get it in their hands.
Yeah. Yep. And I think, I think that's one of Denbrock's strengths is finding ways to get matchups, to set it up, to get the ball in your most explosive playmakers' hands. He did a good job of that at LSU. That's what he's really good at, is finding those mismatches to key up one-on-one opportunities or getting the ball to Love on a quick hitting pass over the middle with space to run, whatever. He's going to be good at that, and we have been horrible at doing that. We've not done a good job of getting our most electric guys the ball with the chance to make moves. That's all got to change, and I think it's going to, damn it.
And I think, man, once you I like Payne. I think is that the guy that's with him, Payne? I like Payne, but man, Jeremiah Love is just so explosive. You got to get the ball in his hands. You got to get him 20 to 25 touches a game.
Man,
you got to figure out a way to get it.
Now, wait, man. Here's the tricky part of that. The tricky part of that is the staff loves the running back room top to bottom, and they want to divide out some of those carries. It looks like that's going to be the plan. If they do that, I don't know if there are enough touches for him to get near that number. I think it's going to have to be more of a blend. It's going to have to be a blend of handoffs and passing routes. I want him to catch the ball too, not just get handoffs. I want him out there running routes.
That's what I'm saying. You get him 10 to 15 rushes, carries a game, and you get him, about 5 targets a game as a receiver. Trust me, I mean, he got to have his hands on the ball, man. You're going to see, man. You're going to see why I'm saying this, man, because he was the most explosive running back last year. Man, he's just so explosive. He can be like our Reggie Bush. I mean, we can have like Reggie Bush and Lindale White at Notre Dame. You know what I'm saying? Where Reggie got 15, 20 carries, 15, 20 touches a game, even though Lindale White carried the ball for 20 times a game.
Yeah.
You got to figure out how to get the ball to everybody. At Gray House, too, you got to get it to Gray House. I mean, I feel like this will probably be our most productive season before I switch over to the quarterback room, man. Because I definitely want to talk about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Notre Dame, you know, they always talk about multipliers. And leading up to the draft, that's a hot term now with these talent evaluators, talking about finding multipliers to add to your team, explosive plays, guys that do all that. Notre Dame's getting more of them. Like, they just are. It isn't at the pace everybody would want, but you're getting more of those guys. And I think this offense should be in a way better position this year. And if the output doesn't show it, I'm going to be really upset. And I'm going to want to know where it went wrong. And I'll start looking probably at the O-line first. So I don't know, man.
Hey, now I want to get into this quarterback room because I was just watching Deuce Knight.
Ooh, 707. Baby, what did you think of that film, man? Son? What did you think of that film? I was on the edge of my seat.
Hey, I don't care who the 2025 quarterback is. You better be a megastar in order to beat that kid out.
Man, there's so much raw athletic ability there, man. Long lefty and just some of those throws into some windows down the field. I was impressed. I thought he was more raw than what I saw. Let's put it that way.
And I feel like if he was here this year, he would be fighting for the second string quarterback right now. He will be fighting for it.
Yeah, it's man, I just it's Notre Dame's got. Here's the thing, though, man. We talk about all this potential and, oh, these guys are cut different. Oh, it's going to be different this time. It needs to actually show on the field for everybody to buy in, though. You know, like all these hopes and dreams and what ifs. Just once, I'd like it to pay off so we could be justified in this, you know?
Hey, I think we are going to be justified with this one, man. We don't get Notre Dame don't get athletes like that.
Exactly. Yes.
The kid is 6.
Yes, you're right.
4.5, 6'5", about 200 pounds, on a 4.5 40. Man,
you're right.
I'm thinking, man, if that kid was on this roster today, he'd probably be the best quarterback in the room today.
Man, you're totally right. He is a different type of athlete. Most Notre Dame fans in my age range, they have no concept of like, and neither do I. We've never seen an athlete like that behind center at Notre Dame. It could change a lot of things, man. I was impressed by what I saw in that 7-on-7 film. Legitimately impressed. He was further down the road than I thought he would be.
Man, I was staying in Houston when Vince Young was quarterback, and I can't remember what the school, but I knew it was on the south side. But I haven't seen – everybody talk about Lamar Jackson, but I ain't seen a quarterback with this type of potential since Vince Young.
Man, Notre Dame's going to have options, dude. And you know what? You know what I want? I want CJ Carr to have a good run, and then him and Deuce have a really high-level battle. I would love that. That'd be so healthy for Notre Dame to have a high-level quarterback battle between those guys. That'd be beautiful.
Man, and as much as I pull for Minchie, man, you know, the only way I see Minchie wind up staying after tomorrow is like if Steve Angeli, who, man, to me, honestly, kind of true, he's the one that really needs to jump into the transfer portal. Nothing wrong with Steve, but Steve needs to go somewhere where he can play. You know, he want to play.
Yeah.
And I don't think at Notre Dame it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. I think after this year they're going to turn the car. I mean, they're either going to turn the car and Mitchie. Yeah. And I think that, you know, his play, he's going to be a very, very good Notre Dame, but he don't have the arms talent. He don't possess those skills to me, man. It's time to just say forget about it. I had an opportunity, I had a chance. I got to go. It's time. It's over with for me.
Yeah, it's going to be really, man, it's going to be interesting to see how it all shapes up. Oh, can I ask you about this, man? I want your opinion on this too. Why do you think it is that Notre Dame has not had a lot of portal action? I figured we'd have a handful of guys move out by now, opening up spots so that we could go get guys. We're not seeing that. What do you make of that? Is that a culture thing where guys want to be a part of Notre Dame now? Or is it the grass isn't always greener on the other side? Look what happened to Buckner and Pine. Why do you think it is that you don't have like a bunch of guys leaving Notre Dame right now? Why is that?
I just don't think, man, I think that they want to be a part of the program. They hear, most of the guys heard, they're like, when they got here, like, hey, man, we're going to win. We're close to winning. We're this close to winning. You're going to be a part of us. You're going to be a part of what help us win. And they don't want to leave it just in case Notre Dame do win. But I don't know, man. He just don't want to leave the program. Okay, I understand. Maybe they want to graduate. A Notre Dame degree is better than majority of the degrees out there in the country. So you get that Notre Dame degree, you almost set for life.
Yeah.
And most don't want to stick around to get the degree, but I'm sorry, man. They're going to have to go as the backup to Leonard, man. I think you need to go with either Minchie or Carr.
I'm telling you, man. Dude, Minchie's in a weird spot. And it's not his fault. I don't know. It's just the situation he's in. He's like falling in between the cracks here. He's in an uncomfortable position to me where he's just slotted, where he's fallen, and the dynamics above him and behind him. He's in a weird spot. Don't you agree? Kenny's in a weird spot in between.
Yeah, I agree 100%. He's in a weird spot. But, he might be the one that leaves tomorrow, but I think he loves Notre Dame. So do Steve Angeli.
Yeah.
But the situation is like this. He was never hyped up. I think the way that he got recruited is the reason why he's not getting any attention. He's so fit of all places. It's not like they flipped it from Alabama or Ohio State. They flipped.
Right. Yeah, he's in an interesting dynamic, man. So I don't know, but I love getting that recruiting news yesterday. A dual threat guy, a big talent from down south, put me in a good mood, man. I'm sticking to my opinion that the roster is changing fast, and eventually it's got to pay off on the field. That's my position this summer. I see the roster changing. There's more guys that can make you splash plays on both sides of the ball. It needs to show on the field for everybody to believe in it, though. And if people want to hold out till they see it, I understand that. That's my position this summer.
I thought we lost grip on that kid, man. I thought, I was saying that, like, it was more and more trending towards Florida State, and he just ended it. You know what I'm saying? He quickly ended it like, hey, no, it's not this. I'm going here. I'm not going there, And it was kind of strange how it all just ended. How it all just ended with Notre Dame, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Being the ones that's on top, And
yep.
I'm happy that we're going into Florida. We're beating the big three in Florida for these kids.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
And I don't think we're done.
It's a big deal. You're right. You're right. Getting more of those inroads down there, especially into Florida talent's a big damn deal. Good job by the staff. Really good job.
I also think, man, we might be in for a treat, man. We might mess around, man, and get Bobs and get the kid out of Vegas, man. We could take, we get Meadows out of Vegas and get Bobs. Our receiver room has totally changed, man. We ain't got nothing to really worry about.
I know. Wouldn't that be wild? Wouldn't that be wild to feel like it'd be like, wow, I can't believe it. Notre Dame has a decent wide receiver room that I approve of. Let's ride.
Yeah. And I just think that, man, it's going to change around, man. And I think that I don't care what, long as he can win a playoff game or two, something that Kelly couldn't do. Because I think our national championship is going to come when Deuce Knight take over as quarterback. Because I'm comparing him to Vince Young, man. He could take over a game with his legs.
Wow.
He could, Vince Young showed against USC, he could pass the ball.
So you're figuring you have his skill set, and by the time he's ready to take over this team, that roster will be flipped over, all Freeman guys, the new recruiting with the more athletic, longer guys, and then we go from there. I like your plan. I like your plan a lot.
I think once he takes over fully as quarterback, I think nothing wrong with Carr. I think Carr get us a playoff win or two during his era, and then you hand the keys over to Deuce Knight. Deuce Knight take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be great. Anything else, man? Thanks for calling me on a Monday. Appreciate it. Starting the week off with you.
Man. All right, my brother.
Have a good one. Give me a call later in the week. I know you will. Take care, man. Have a good Monday.
All right.
See you. Man, that dude's a man about town. You ever notice whenever he calls, there's traffic in the background. He's navigating the city, baby. He's always got something going on. Oh man. If you guys end up getting Jalen Boggs, I might have to get a Boggs ND jersey. Hey, listen. Pierre, what do we got? I think John would agree with me saying that there was no real battle for starter and that Riley Leonard has always been the starter. Yes. Outside of health, yes. I do agree with that, actually. Rodney, what's going on, man? Happy Monday.
Hey, what's up, John? I'm in my car, so I hope the reception's okay.
It's decent for now. Yeah, and it's definitely better than every single time you called the first year you called. So you got that going for you.
Right. Yeah, man. I was trying to figure out during the game and watching who the hell is for 14. I'm like, this guy's like catching everything. And I thought it was like someone maybe Faison had a new number or something and like going through and like Micah Gilbert. All right, one of the new guys. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man. That's what we need is more. And he's young. Notre Dame's going to have young wide receivers assume leadership roles in terms of production and emotion. Notre Dame's going to need that. They are going to have younger guys that are going to take over that wide receiver room. That could be a challenge in the short term. In the long term, a big benefit for Notre Dame overall.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, he had some skills. I was like, wow, this is who's this guy? And I kept thinking it was somebody we had before that was, just took a jump. And I'm like, oh, no, this is Micah Gilbert. I had to look him up. I couldn't figure out who it was. I thought maybe it was Colsey with a new number. And I'm like, anyway, so that was really nice to see. You know, man, I'm a little, I don't know. What is and I missed the first hour of the show, so I don't know if this has been talked about. Are we assuming tomorrow is like the day where certain players got to declare for the transfer? Not why everybody's saying, tomorrow.
I think people are just genuinely surprised. There hasn't been a handful of guys that are like, I could see I'm like the fourth string, whatever, and I'm going to go try somewhere else. I just figured there'd be a handful of guys buried on the depth chart that would leave, and it just hasn't happened. And I'm just trying to figure out what the realities of that are, what that tells me.
But what I'm saying is it tomorrow they have to, because everybody's saying, oh, tomorrow we're not going to be like, what's significant about Tuesday?
Wasn't it the end of the end of the month is like the deadline, I think, right? Isn't that right? Somebody tell me. I believe that's why people, I think that it closes again before it opens again later, but it's closed. I think that's why, the end of the month.
I get it. Okay, I was just checking. Man, I just wanted to just throw this players out there. And I'm not saying Angeli's Joe Montana. Not saying that at all, obviously. But based on what everybody's saying about Angeli, we would have lost Joe Montana, apparently, and he would have never played for us. And then the future Hall of Famer who won, I don't know, what was it, 4 Super Bowls? Would have never played. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I like Minchie. I like Angela. Obviously, Carr's looking great as a freshman.
And you're gonna like Deuce more. You're gonna like Deuce even more. So Rodney, that's the position we're in. You feel like you like all these guys, but they're all probably not gonna stay. Something's got to give. Something's got to give.
I understand that. I'm just saying, I'm not of the opinion. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I got no intel. I don't know. You'd have more than I would. But I'd be surprised if Angeli leaves tomorrow, man. If it's tomorrow we're saying. Because, dude, again, if they were all starting from the same starting line, I'd say, okay, that's probably correct. But, I mean, look, I understand we got so caught up with years and years of players being called RPG, right kind of guys, RKGs. I understand that, the intangibles versus the physical attributes, but do not underestimate intangibles, man, because they show up big, especially when you're talking about experience. And I'm just, if Riley Leonard goes down, the person I want in that, at least from what I've seen, I want Angeli this year. I'm not saying beyond this year. His ceiling is lower than the others, and maybe they'll catch up. But I'm telling you, man, throwing those guys out there with no experience, I'd be very worried. If Riley Leonard is the starter, he comes back in the fall, and he's looking great, and he goes down halfway through the game against Texas A&M, and Riley Leonard's not on that roster, I'm worried. I'm just telling you, I'm worried.
Yeah.
That may not be the case this year.
I do, dude, I do understand the concept of, you could say you believe that Minchie and Carr have more physical talent than Angeli, but for this next year, if Riley goes down, you're more comfortable with Angeli as the backup for all the other reasons you just talked about. Does that make sense? It sounds ass backwards, but it kind of makes sense.
Not only does it make sense, John, I feel like this guy probably when you look at every single physical measurable, I'm guessing doesn't have 20% of them that Carr and Minchie have. But when you look at tangible, I don't think, as of right now, there's an it factor to Angeli, man. I really like. There's something about him when I don't know what it is, man. And I didn't feel that with Pine. I didn't feel that at all. But I just feel with Angeli, it seems like better around him from what I have seen. And that is as important as the quarterback playing. So if we can get other people to play better around him, while it shouldn't be everything we talk about, to just discount intangibles too is stupid. It's stupid. They're extremely important. Tom Brady would have never had the career he did if everybody would have said, well, who are the most gifted athletes to play quarterback? Well, cut that Tom Brady guy because obviously he don't have any of those. So I'm just saying, man, let's not be so quick to throw Angeli out with the bathwater. You know what I mean?
It's going to be interesting to see. And the bottom line is, while this is a little bit of anxiety producing to think about, it's a good problem to have, man. We have multiple Notre Dame quarterbacks. A lot of the fan base feels very good about, sees upside, sees value in, and that is progress to me, Rodney. That's progress, brother.
Oh, it's big time progress. I'm very excited about where we're at right now in terms of that room. There's no question. And the wide receiver room, too. Like I said, there are guys emerging out of nowhere that I'm like, yeah, okay, this is, it was a spring game, we'll see when the guy, but I'm watching the guy, I'm watching Micah Gilbert move, and some of the, I'm really liking it, man. The guy's got speed, he's got Looks like he's got a grace to his mobility and the things he does. I don't know, man. That's just something I'm really excited to see. And let's not forget those running backs either, man. I mean, then this offense again, it's really shaping up. Obviously, the big questions for me and for most is the tackle position.
Yeah,
That's going to be. I don't think there's any way that's not a work in progress. I'd be shocked if they're game ready on game one.
That's the problem, Rodney. I need them to be ready for game one because game one's a big game. They don't have to be the finished product, but you got to be good enough to be serviceable so we can win. You don't have to be perfect, but I just need you to be good enough that we could scrape out a win and then we can move forward and develop from there where the schedule lightens back up. I just need you to be good enough week one, man, out there in the Texas sunset. Just give me one night.
Yeah, and I realize it's over and done with. So there's no sense in complaining, but I just don't understand who is in Blake Fisher's ear that he thought he was good enough to lead. I just think he did himself a disservice by not paying an extra year.
Well, now wait a second. Can't he just say, I just got drafted, I rolled the dice, bet on myself, and it worked out? I bet you he's thrilled about where he ended up. He probably thinks he won that equation.
Well,
and maybe he did.
Well, okay. Yeah.
So I hear you. Rodney, I wrote about this. I wrote about it yesterday where I was saying I really felt like he could really have used another year for Notre Dame, and Notre Dame could have used him another year with the tackle situation, but maybe he proved me wrong.
Yeah.
Looks like he bet on himself and won.
Yeah.
So good for him, I guess. And now I got to worry about two tackles and inside.
Yeah, I'm saying that selfishly as a Notre Dame guy, I admit. I mean, I'm saying that very selfishly.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes, man. I mean, but honestly, I guess it's a pretty, of all the position groups that to be worried about, offensive line is one that I do feel, that there's at least stuff. Look, whether they play great at the top end of things, we can have that debate, of course. Obviously, Notre Dame's offensive line have always been at least good over the past decade. I mean, I can't remember one, maybe the one with when Jack Cohn was the quarterback. That would have been the exception to that rule, obviously. But other than that year, they've always been at least good, whether or not they played to that level against top competition or not. So I guess that's one position group that I can, And also, if you notice, John, in that spring game, and this is where the Denbrock effect comes in. He was doing that ball was coming out of those quarterback arms pretty quick, and that's something I think he understands that, especially those first few weeks of the season, they got to get rid of that ball quick to give those tackles a chance to allow those plays to develop, or not to allow those plays to develop, actually. So I like some of the things I was seeing just in terms of how quick the ball was coming out of their arms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh man, it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be an exciting August too, man. We're going to figure some things out. So we'll see what happens with the portal, and then we'll go from there into the summer full on with recruiting. Anything else, Rodney? Thanks for calling me on a Monday.
Oh, no, man. I had a great time at the tailgate. It was great seeing everybody. I liked your little 2.5-minute video. That was cool. I didn't expect to introduce the whole thing.
Yeah, it just worked out, man. It just worked out. That was the best footage I had to put at the beginning. It worked out great.
Great, man. All right, man. We have a good one. And, of course, I'll leave with this. There is absolutely zero worry I have about our defense. I didn't even talk about that.
There you go.
I am so excited about what they could do this year. So, yeah, man, I'm feeling pretty good. Irish Nation should be, things are looking up. They just keep looking up, man. They just keep looking up.
Yep. There you go, man. Have a good week.
All
Thanks,
right.
man. Appreciate you.
You too. Bye.
Here's the deal. Apparently they moved Rockney's grave from the other cemetery to campus. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like this. Number one is You let dead people lie where they lie for a lot of reasons. Number two, how many of you realize my corporate job was literally in the death cemetery industry? And half of my working hours had to do with disinterment, reinterment, who has the legal rights to dig someone up and move them somewhere, whatever. When you dig them up, is there anything to move? If you're talking about almost 100 years, I mean, you're not pulling up what you think you're pulling up. It's going to be a crusty half box with nothing in it, dust. So I don't like doing that. I don't like doing that. I told everybody whenever I had a family call me and say, what is the legal process to dig somebody up and then move them to another cemetery for whatever reason? I would say, even though I make a lot more money for taking this project on and digging somebody else and moving them, it is a huge project. A million things could go wrong. 100 years, you ain't going to find what you think you're going to find. There was no burial vaults then. It was just a casket in the ground. There was no protective vaults to protect the integrity of that wood, the casket or anything. There was no requirements for a vault for that casket. So that means it's been weathered. There ain't nothing but a pile of dirt they're moving and calling it Rockney. So whatever, you may have like a box, but there ain't nothing in it. So I don't like it. I don't like that. I would much rather see you let what's a lie lie. That's a little weird. Yeah, he was in a plane crash. What was actually buried? So then did they just move his headstone? That's no big deal then. Pat, you got a good point. If depending on what they found of him from the plane wreck to bury, maybe there wasn't a lot to bury anyway, and maybe this is largely symbolic and you pick up his headstone and you move it and then that's no big deal. All that works above ground. The other calculation when I was approached at my job at the diocese about doing a disinterment, reinterment project was, where's the water line? Where's the water line? The first thing I would look at when somebody called me and wanted to dig somebody up and move them was, let me get that water line. And I would look at the maps for whatever cemetery it was, figure out where the water level table was under the ground. And a lot of times I would say, your person's been underwater for 60 years. There ain't nothing left. Don't bother. If we pull nothing but gel is what your body turns into inside there when you're buried and you're in a low spot under the water gets to you and you just turn into mush. That's what happens. You just turn into mush. If you're above the water line in a dry spot, we've dug people out, pulled it up, opened the casket because of a family legal issue. And I've had people look brand new. I mean, I've opened some caskets where a guy died 30 years ago. He looks like he could get up and do an Irish jig. It all depends on where you're at in the water table, where you're being buried. It all depends on, is that casket sealed? Is the vault sealed? Like, there's a million different things that go in that, but that's nervous. That makes me nervous. I don't like messing with. I always told people, your best bet's to let what's at rest. The other thing is, could you imagine the legal fees that go with digging somebody up and burying them? Again, you got to pay a funeral home to just watch my union labor guys dig the person up and do all that carefully. Then you got to put it on a flatbed, drive it over to another cemetery where it's going. That grave's got to be open with their labor over there ready to go. Then you got to put them in a million legal permits because the state wants to know and the feds want to know why you're digging up a dead person and moving them. So there's all this legal state. It's a huge project. but there ain't no newt you're moving. You're moving dust or a half box or just the headstone for memorial purposes. But that makes me nervous. I told everybody, let your loved one lie. It's just an easier path. Let them lie. It's a lot easier putting people in the ground than digging them out. That's the one thing I'll tell you about my labor and what we charge to do this project. It costs you a lot more to dig somebody up than it does to put them down. It's a way more sensitive project. Way more sensitive project. I used to drive around town with 5 or 6 urns on my back seat. Pat's not lying. People at like a drive-thru would think I'm insane because I'd pull up to like McDonald's and they'd look out of the window and I have 6 urns in my back seat. All the urns had to go to the right place, and one's going to this cemetery and the other one's going for this service or whatever. And I drive around with those urns. It was one of my jobs to go to the funeral homes and pick up the urns and then figure out where they need to go, whatever. Anyways, that was my old corporate days. And every single day, one of these projects would land on my desk. And it would be like, we have a legal issue with the family. You know what it is? A lot of times, you guys, what it is family disputes. Family dispute. John was the skinny pallbearer. Oh, yes. Isn't that what Paul Bear would yell before Undertaker came out? Oh, yes. I love me some Paul Bear. Oh, my God. That's hilarious. That's what I was going to say is the number one request I had to dig people out of the ground was a family dispute over jewelry. If you really think about it, it makes sense. The mom would have like a really expensive wedding ring or something like that and want to be buried with it or whatever. And the famous, this is what everybody does. The last person before they close mom's casket, nobody's looking at the funeral. They slide that $75,000 ring off mom's hand, put it in their pocket. And then a month later, they got a new SUV when they were dirt poor. And then the rest of the family comes to me and goes, we think that guy stole that ring off mom and we're digging her up to find out. It's that petty. I'm telling you, it's that petty. Where we have to open up caskets for a legal reason. A lot of people, Pat, a lot of people want to be buried in their expensive jewelry. And it's in their will of like, they want to be buried with it or whatever. Like there was a lot of that. And then there was a lot of people that were like, one that I got a request I get a lot is a lot of cemeteries did a bad job with maintenance. We had unionized guys outsource a vendor for mowing and weed eating every week. A lot of smaller cemeteries don't have that ability. And a lot of people would come to me and go, John, I buried my dad at this cemetery. They don't weed eat it. They don't mow it. I hate it there. They don't treat us right. How much does it cost to dig them up and move them to your place? We do a lot of moving around. Anyways, it's just interesting because that's my old business I dealt with every day. And it's a huge pain in the ass. And every single thing you do is a legal landmine. Every single thing you do is a legal landmine. If anything goes wrong with that casket when you're moving it, if you clip the edge of it, all of the contents that are, you'll smell it. If you clip the edge of that thing, you'll smell it all across the county. Like, it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. But that was my old life, you guys. And I had done it long enough. I became like the problem guy. So like when there's a family that has a complicated legal issue, we need to figure it out. Like, let John do it. Like, that was what I was doing before I kind of stepped down to this. But literally, Diocese of Joliet. It was wild. Yeah, Monday morning burial talk. Any grave robbers? Not grave robbers sometimes on a Halloween the next morning, you would find weird stuff in the cemeteries, like not grave robbing, but like rituals, like cult rituals, like Satanistic cult ritual stuff. We would find some of that the day after Halloween, usually. You don't have grave robbers like in the grave as much as like people will steal stuff decorating the grave. If you put like a fancy Mary statue there, some idiot might steal it. I don't know. So not a lot of grave robbing because you got to realize the casket is like sealed and then it goes in a concrete vault that then goes in the ground and that's sealed. It's not an easy thing to like grave rob. Yes, Pat, I did. When we had the protests in the summer of 2020, one of them went right through one of my cemeteries and they ruined $200,000 worth of monuments, kicked them over, knocked them over, carving in them, just walking through for the protest movement. Like, yeah, great way to get me to be on your side is to desecrate this business and all these dead people that have nothing to do with why you're rioting and protesting. Whatever. Anyways, I got cemetery stories, man. I got cemetery stories. But yeah, interesting. That was my old life. It's weird. 385. Let's make it come alive. Let's talk about being alive. What do you got, buddy?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I think people are surprised to learn that I was Dr. Death in a former life.
My bad. That doesn't surprise me, man.
Why do you sound like you're 90 miles away? Are you on speaker? I can't hear you well.
Sorry. There we go.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, I just at the office, I had to put you on speaker real quick. But
What's on your mind, bro?
Man, that you had something to do with the, huh?
What's on your mind, man?
Oh, not much, man. How about that draft? The thumbnail said about the draft. What do you think about it?
I'm very proud Notre Dame is continuing the lineage of offensive line success in the league. I would like to see that continue, but add in skill guys. That's my takeaway from the draft. I love our first two guys being O-line guys. Keep that all going. I need that to continue, but I need more skill guys to be in the top end of that draft from Notre Dame. Also, man, in my mind, Notre Dame, 7 guys drafted. Michigan, 13. I admit I've been thinking about that. I know they had illegal help, but I'm thinking about how much better would you feel as a Notre Dame fan if you had double the guys getting drafted? Changes a lot. So I'm looking at the successes we have, and I'm also looking at ways to be better.
Yeah, agreed, 100. I thought, what really had me pumping. I was surprised Audric went so deep into the draft, that he went so low. Javonte Jean-Baptiste, man, I was pumped to see that he was drafted, period, man. I knew that because he's undersized at his position, that would probably hurt him. But I was pumped to see that he was drafted. But Audric being drafted so low, that surprised me. I thought he'd at least go 3rd round.
You know what I want to ask the group? Is anybody else surprised that Will Shipley went up before estimate? I don't know if that surprises people or not. I know people like the way Will Shipley runs a lot, and so do I. But was anybody surprised to see him go before Audric? I don't know. So I'm happy for him. It's just he had to wait a little bit.
Yeah, I'm happy for the guys, man. I'm happy. 7 guys. That was pretty good, And Maris going 3rd in the 3rd round. To the Cowboys. You see Jerry Jones' call to him?
I'm telling you, man. Jerry Jones was all about it, and he said, we're going to mix some gold into the blue, and it was pretty cool hearing that conversation behind the scenes. I enjoyed that. I like that insight.
Oh, yeah. But, no, John, missed you guys 2 weeks ago, man. Seen those videos. It was awesome. I seen JD was there, man. That JD's an awesome dude in his leprechaun suit, man. That was awesome. I can't wait to get down there in September. But as far as that, the whole quarterback room and all that, I think what you guys say. Unfortunately, I think Leonard's gonna get hurt. Like everybody's saying. And then what happens if Angeli does leave? You got Carr or Minchie.
Man, you just,
know what I mean?
you really don't want to think that way. You're assuming he's going to come back healthy and ready to go for August camp. You don't want to assume an injury again. But after you have a few of these issues and you're not even playing real football, it's kind of in your mind to worry about it. You know, I don't want to will it on the guy, but it's in the back of my mind, the durability.
No, and I don't either. But in your words, you said he got hurt. What, back in? When did we play him? Early September.
Yep.
And now we're still dealing with the same injury 6 months later. I mean, that's what you said 2 shows ago.
Man, he had a.
So what?
They did the surgeon in Alabama put in a plate, and it ended up being missized, and then it like cracked, and then they had to go in there and put a different size plate back in there, and they weren't expecting that. Like I have a little anxiety that is he going to be able to be durable enough to bang around in there the way I need to all day? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what concerns me too, man, is that he hasn't played any real football, in 6 months, and is he going to really be 100? And then we have one of our or Angeli transfers, and then you throw in Minchie or CJ, and you end up with the 8-4 record, which is going to be disappointing to everybody. And at least our new young quarterback got experience, and it's going to be a different story next year. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, man, all I know is August is going to be a little bit chaotic. August is going to be a little chaotic, man. You only got a few weeks to figure out a lot of things, and then we're off and running, and we're in the season, and we got to win week 1, and you got to figure out who your tackles are. You got to figure out if your quarterback's healthy. Then you got to get him integrated with the rest of the team he wasn't able to practice with. It's a lot to do in 3 weeks. It's going to be a chaotic August. Yeah. I'm going to be wound tight.
Yeah, it is. I know you are, man. But one thing, like I tell you, man, like you see Aeneas Williams, you see Jeremiah Love. I hope Jabron Payne's okay because, man, that for his size, man, you said it best when I first met you, like how good Jabron Payne was. I wasn't too familiar with him at the time, more with Love and everyone. But, man, Jabron Payne, for his size, he's a effing stud, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He got that strength. And so I think if we have a good, game manager, which I think Angeli's been, you know what I mean? The rest of the guys would rally, are going to flow with them, man. And, a few open passes to some of them big time wide receivers that we're getting in now, especially that dude from Florida A&U. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he looks really good. So, like that's the hopes, man. You know what I mean? And God, it seems like every show it's a quarterback position, but I understand the fan base's concern, because everywhere else we are okay. In the running back room, the wide receiver room is finally getting built up. The tight end, you heard, I watched the Lucky Lefty podcast too with Malik and the other reporter. And he even said, man, is Eli Raridon that big? Like, I guess Eli Raridon's a giant.
He is big.
Person.
He's like 6'7.5". He's huge. And if you can end up in a position where you have a healthy Eli out there and then Evans comes back, now you're cooking at tight end. I love it.
That's what I'm saying. Every aspect. Even the previous caller says defense we won't even touch because we already know we're golden. But even the best thing about what both Al Washington and Al Golden says, it's like, hey man, last year's gone. We're a new defense, and that makes an awesome statement because then these boys are gonna come hungry and they're gonna be like, yeah, last year's gone, and now it's a whole different year. It's a whole different defense. Excuse me, I said offense, but defense.
Yeah.
So I understand the quarterback being the high anxiety area, man, of our topic of conversation because it seems like every other area is finally built up to what we need, man.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that offensive line's going to be a concern until I'm proven it shouldn't be. I'm going to worry about it every day in the summer. I'm just telling you, dude, I don't trust those tackles. My baseball team is garbage. I don't have that all summer to distract me. Like I'm done with it. I'm just going to worry about those tackles against A&M all summer, I think. It's just the way I'm wound tight. What can I say?
I know it's okay, buddy. That's years of being a grave digger will do that to you, right, Johnny?
Oh, I'm telling you, man, I would stress out all the time. I would just go, I hope we got the right grave here we're digging, and I hope you don't chip anything, and I hope nobody. And it's always something to worry about, man. It's always something to worry about.
Last thing, buddy. You know what? Like I tell you, I'm a Charles Jaggersall fan. Remember, he was state champion in wrestling. You know what I mean? So he's strong as an ox, and we just gotta fine tune these Knicks, with this new line, and I think we're gonna be just fine. Also, like I said, it's another offensive coordinator that they gotta get in motion of. But I really think I'm rooting for Charles Jaggersall, man. Like I said, I had a chance to meet him.
Yeah,
awesome kid, man. I'm really confident that Denbrock will have the offensive line coach, do what he needs to adjust to those things. But with that being said, Johnny, have a good Monday. Love the last shows, man. I've just stayed back in the cut. Didn't really want to call. Just wanted to.
Oh, thank you, man. Hey, Saturday night show was fun. We had fun Saturday night. You never know where the Saturday night shows are going to go, man. When we go on Saturday night, you don't know who you're going to get. You don't know what condition they're in. You don't know what you're getting on Saturday Night Live. I love doing those shows, man.
Yeah, they're great. Who knows who's posed, who's been this, who's been that.
Yeah,
Johnny. Hey, man, have a great week, man. Love you, man. Love the fan base. Can't wait till Miami, Ohio.
There you go.
With everybody else, man.
Thank you, man.
Have a good one, buddy.
Thank you.
Onward, Notre Dame.
There you go. Take care, man. Listen, man, this is a lively Monday. People asked, really lively Monday. Thanks for all the action on the calls. People asked, what are some of the big, feel free to ask. We could do death questions. We don't have to do it today, but I realized I had a very interesting former career in the death business. People ask, what's one of the worst things that could happen? Digging a grave that isn't yours to dig because of a record mistake or a mapping error. That's about the worst you could do, is opening and burying somebody in a grave, and you have the grave all set up with grandma there, and the family drives through, and then they go, that's not the grave we picked out for her. That would be a problem. If you end up in a position where our union guys, I tell them the grave to dig, and they got the backhoe and they're digging and doing open, and you hit an unmarked grave, that's a problem. It's like, whoa, there's a Civil War vet. Every once in a while, you'll hit somebody that wasn't marked. Dude, there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot that goes on. And by the way, cremation ruined the industry for everyone. I see people writing about, I want to be cremated and have my ashes. Cremation literally has ruined the entire cemetery business. It's all going down the crapper all over the country. It doesn't matter where you are, all because of cremation. Think about it. I used to be able to sell some granny and grandpa 2 graves side by side, a big monument, 2 vaults for your casket, whatever, the headstone, all of it, the labor charges, whatever. And it's like 15 grand, 20 grand in 1 hour. And then I get my commission and we're all set. And then granny's set. Literally, Jay Carr. Now people pay $600 to $1,200 to add grandma's little ashes to an existing grave that's already in her family so she could be with her mom or whatever. There's no money in the business anymore. Because at cremation, it's so cheap compared to everything you need with a traditional casket. Nobody's doing it. So then there's no money coming into those cemeteries. Instead of me selling $12,000 to $20,000 packages, it's $1,000 to $2,000 for a cremation. And then there's no meat on the bone. That's a part of the reason I was gearing up to leave no matter what else I was going to do, because there's no money in it. When I started 15 years ago, we were about 75-25 casket versus cremation. 75%, and these were all Catholic cemeteries. Some of them were very traditional. So it would be 75-25 casket urn. Now, and after COVID, it's near over 80-85% cremation. There's no money in the business. There's no money in the business. Also, Cremation's been allowed by the Catholic Church for a long time. People don't know that. I would get 10 calls a day. I'm a Catholic. Am I going to hell if I get cremated? No, the Catholic Church is fine with cremation. But here's the but. They're fine with cremation. But to follow Catholicism, they want those ashes, once cremated, to be buried in a blessed Catholic resting place. So they're fine with the physical cremation, but they want that to go in a cemetery, a blessed Catholic cemetery or whatever. They don't want you to smoke some of it and, you know, your friends to smoke some of you's in the golf course, some of you's at the fishing hole. They don't love that. So they're fine with cremation, but they want it to go in a blessed Catholic resting place. Yeah, John's the South Bend Slayer. By the time people came to me, there was no slaying. It was only laying. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. By the time I'm involved, there's no slaying. It's just laying. All right. What's a good rate on a blessed resting place? Totally varies 100%. Based on what area you're in, what state you're in, what part of the cemetery you're in. It's just like a city. There's Richie Richville in a certain corner, and then there's middle class, and then there's underwater in the back for half price. Like, it's just like that. It all depends on how much you want to spend, what your tastes are, what your desires are to be seen after death. There's a lot of those calculations. So, yeah, it's interesting. I've never called in before. What's the waiting time like? Sometimes the waiting time is 0 minutes, and sometimes it's like an hour after a game. It totally depends. On these morning shows, usually people could get in because it ain't that busy on a 9 a.m. So basically, that's it, you guys. Cremation ruined my business model 100%. Like, it totally ruined it. I literally went from $12,000 to $20,000 packages being the norm for a couple getting buried side by side with everything you need to literally like $1,500 is the sale. You can't make the math work. You cannot make the math work. But the traditional burial just got too expensive. Go over a couple of my prices. Couple of graves, $2,000 each for the property. By the way, here's the other thing, you guys. You don't own the grave. You don't own the grave. This is the number one thing I got yelled at by these families all the time. We would have a cleanup where all your old dead flowers and everything people put at the grave looks like crap, and we would clean it up and get rid of that stuff so we could mow and weed eat, or not have weeds growing through the stupid stuff people put at their loved ones' graves. And then they'd say, I'm going to sue you. How dare you remove those rotten flowers off my mom's grave and put them in the garbage? We own that grave. No. You're a fool. Look at your contract. You own the rights to have your person buried in the grave that we own, we maintain, we take care of, and we make decisions on. You don't own the grave. You purchase the rights to have your person laid to rest in a grave we own and operate. Big difference. And no one liked that when they tried to call me and say they're going to sue us for some dumb reason. Because I wouldn't, whatever. But you're looking at a couple grand each for a grave. The labor, the union labor to bury you is probably $2,000 during the week, more on a Saturday. Then you got to add in the burial vault, that it's a legal requirement. You got to be buried with one in the state of Illinois. There goes another $1,200 times 2. Then you got the monument headstone, and I was always push a big upright headstone, and that cost a bunch of money compared to a flat stone. And so there used to be a lot of money on meat on the bone for Johnny Boy. Once everybody went to cremation, I couldn't make the math work. Couldn't make the math work. Went to the diocese and I said, look at these charts, look at these numbers. And with the baby boomers soon to be fading out, How are we ever going to make enough money to exist? And you don't. You don't. Every cemetery in America is hemorrhaging money. If you start noticing in the next coming years, handful of years, decade, if you start noticing, you visit some cemeteries where your grandma is or whatever, and you notice it's not getting mowed like it used to. The conditions are going down. There's not as many workers out there. No, this is why. Because every cemetery operation is losing money. They are spending more money than they are taking in because of this traditional burial cremation problem. We have an obligation to mow and weed eat and dig the graves and do all that forever and take care of it forever. What do you think pays those union guys' wages and all that? The money coming in from these packages, when they're all $1,500 little urns and not a $15,000 traditional burial, you lose money. So the entire industry is screwed and there's no way out. Actually, I take that back. There's one way out. The only way out would be setting up cremation specific places, like just for that. I came up with like see-through glass casing you put in a mausoleum chapel, and it's see-through glass. You could put an urn in there with a Notre Dame hat for your grandpa, and then it's a personal touch. Like, I would sell those, but there ain't enough of them fast enough to make up for all the money we're losing with those casket burials. Just awful. The whole business. Funeral homes also going down. All those old family-owned funeral home names in all these suburbs that you know about and all that, all of their finances are based on the last 100 years of traditional casket burial revenue. Needing an urn, needing all the embalming, needing to use your hearse, having the big wake room, all of this. All of their revenue is based on casket traditional burials. These funeral homes are getting wiped out too, because they're running in the same thing I ran into, where nobody wants rent your room for 2 days for grandma, use your hearse to drive around, and we have a casket. The most common thing now is renting a casket for the viewing, and then when everybody leaves, they cremate mom later and then drop her off at the cemetery. That's the most common thing we had at the end of my time is that's what they would do. You would do a wake, renting a casket from the funeral home, so everybody that comes through sees grandma one more time. And then afterwards, then they cremate her, and then they drop her off to me, and we just bury the urn and nobody's there. And then it's a way to thread that needle, save some money. It's wild out here, man. I could talk about this stuff all day long. You want to talk about, how about this? How about when we would bury gang members that got murdered? How about that? And you got to worry about retaliation. You got to worry about knowing all those ops know their whole crew is going to be at that burial and they want to take pot shots at them. So we would literally have to coordinate with the police to let them know they would drive along the sides of the hearse and in front and in back to make sure nobody could shoot in between. And then they would hide in the woods and in camo in the long grass. Fake service truck up top, sitting on the top road looking down, but it's all cops. Wild stuff. Wild stuff. When you get into the gang stuff and the way they do all that, they were always good to me. The good thing about the gang members is they pay cash. I don't got to worry about a declined credit card or nothing. When I like dealing with the gang members because they paid me cash for everything. I'd go, that'll be 12 grand. And they'd go to the car and come back and we'd count out 12 grand. That was the best part about working with them. They actually had a lot of respect for me. I never had any problem with them in the office. But they literally would just pay cash. They'd be like, how much is it? It'd be like 12 grand. And they'd be like, all right, let me go get it. And then we just count it out. Yeah, the gang members respected my big chain. That's true. They didn't mess with me. They didn't mess with me at all. Somebody asked about if I've seen anything haunted or any ghosts or anything. I was running my region 12 years, and I never experienced or saw anything out of like ghostly. The foreman of my union grounds crew, 40 years doing this, he never has heard or seen anything. I asked him, I'm like, you've been doing this 40 years. He's never heard or seen anything spooky out there. The only thing is, there would be like these gypsy medium women that like come by. And they were like those medium people that could feel the vibes of the dead people or whatever. And they would come by, come by like once a year. And they would stop in the office and be like, I'm going to go do my spirit readings out there, whatever. I just told them to go and leave it out there. Don't be bringing any of them spirits in here. And they would ask, is it okay if I walk by to feel a spirit reading? And I'd go, you go ahead and do something like that, but don't be coming in off. Don't be bringing me these spirits. But I never experienced anything supernatural, anything like that at all. Nope. Oh boy. I really didn't expect this to go this way. I really didn't expect it to go this way. You never know what you're going to get here. All right. That's going to be it for the show. Oh yeah, I've seen UFOs and ghosts, but not in the framework of working. But yeah, I have UFO stories, I have ghost stories, but none of them have to do with the cemetery work. I never experienced anything. I really didn't. But really, I like talking about this stuff. I'll do a thing. UFOs are certainly real. I've seen them. No, they're definitely real. Trust me. I know what I saw, and I know I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy in that way, at least. I know what I saw. But yeah, so that's the deal with the death stuff. But I'll answer any questions you guys have about it moving forward. It was a very interesting way to make a living. And you can't mess up. That's the other thing. When you're in the burial game, you can't make a mistake. Because if you make a mistake, you're on WGN News and you're getting sued. People are already miserable. Their person's dead. If you make any mistake at all, it's getting blown up and you're getting sued and you're going on WGN. Half of my life was spent calming down problems and getting people to chill out so they don't threaten to sue us and trying to work with the union to get things done a different way. Now you know why I'm down here every day. Stressful way to make a living when everybody you deal with is miserable. Anyways, John calming people down. I don't see it. Yeah, I know, right? All right, I'm out of here. This has gone off the rails. We went all over. I love it, though. Think of your death questions. I'd be happy to answer any other questions you have about it. One of these times, I'll explain to you guys how you dig a grave in the middle of January in Illinois where it's 80 below zero and there's 4 foot of frost and frozen ground. That's an interesting story of how you dig those graves when you have 4 feet of frost line there in the middle of the winter. How you even find the right grave to dig under 3 feet of snow in an open field. All of these things are interesting. All these things are interesting. All right, I'm out of here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for donating. Thanks for calling. You never know where this show's going to go. And I love it. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you.